Like all projects, it starts with a new document. But like all projects, what's the purpose of the document? And for this, we're creating an avatar, which is actually a type of icon. And you see, I called this Player One icon because that's what an avatar is. So I'm going to hit Command N to open up a new document, and you're going to notice that it already says 512, and it's already in RGB. I'm going to switch to web because I don't know what you've done, and you could have CMYK here. You could have some other settings. This just keeps us safe. And then I'm going to double click on the number, which highlights the number. I'm not hitting delete. I'm going to type 512. Why 512? It's an icon. It's a binary number. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. It's part of that progression. Now, to get to the height, I'm going to hit Tab, which can take me to the pixel field, and then Tab again, which highlights the height, and type 512. And now we have the size of our document, and we're working in the right color space. This is really important that you understand. I'm reinforcing this because it's important. Now, I want to work in color, but I first of all just want to set up the stage. I just want to make 4 squares that are all the same size and fill up this entire area. Now, how do I do that? Well, first of all, if they're all the same color, let's get that color. And down here, I'm just going to make it black to start with. I swapped out the colors. See this little double-headed arrow right here? Look how those colors are changing back and forth. So I'm going to draw with black, and I'm going to click on the stroke and click none because I don't want a stroke. And then I'm going to bring black back to the foreground, not by clicking this because that'll swap them out again, but by just clicking on the foreground so it's the active color. Then I'm going to get the rectangle tool and say, oh, I'll draw out a perfect square, and I'm going to hold down Shift so I get a square. But what size is my square supposed to be? Hit Command Z to undo that. Remember, it's binary, and before 512 came 256. So I'm not telling you to make 4 squares. I am telling you that you can think, what do you want to create? And then you can use Illustrator's tools to make your vision happen. Now, most of you aren't going to be working with squares, so this is just an example. Now, what I wanted to show you, if you didn't pay attention, is I just clicked. I didn't draw. I clicked. And Illustrator remembers the size of the last object I drew. And I told you Illustrator was crazy as far as its accuracy went. This is pixels. This is tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths of a pixel. Yes, this program is capable of that kind of accuracy simply because it's math. Photoshop is all about pixels. Illustrator's all about math. Okay, it's the difference between vector and raster. So the width and height, 256, and then I hit Tab, 256, Tab, and I got OK highlighted, and I can hit Return. Then I can get the black arrow and pull this up into the corner. And see how it snaps? Because I have Smart Guides on. Boom. Then hold down Option. See how the cursor changes? I could do this after I started to drag, but I wanted to show you something new. Cursor changes, I start dragging. I can hold down Shift at the same time. It's going to just snap into this corner anyways. And I let go of the mouse before I let go of my modifier keys. Then I hold these two, and I'm going to Option drag this down into this corner. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 perfect squares, and I want to give them color. Color. Now, I could pick random colors, and you saw how well that worked out. We're going to learn about color.adobe.com and color harmonies and great ways to work with color. But right now, let's come up. I had you save out. Remember, we put color here, and we also added color guides. Swatches. We threw in symbols, and we'll get to that later. Now, swatches. Hey, you can pick colors. Nothing's going to happen when you pick these colors because nothing is selected. So I'm going to select one of these squares, and I'm not going to pick these swatches because I want to come down. See this right here? This is a library. It is the swatch libraries. Boom. Look at all this stuff. How cool is that? And I'm going to come down to gradients and look at all these and just pick brights. And I am not going to be careful. I'm just going to pick some colors, and we're going to just stick with whatever I end up with. There it is. Do I like that? Not particularly, but I don't want to waste your time. Now, if you had, I'm going to open up recent. I'm going to close this. If you had empty space around this, such as, I'm going to open up File, Open Recent, right here, my player icon. If you're working with, and you didn't make a background layer, so this white you see isn't really there. What you do is save for the web, you export this, and I'm just jumping ahead. You still want to create yours. We're going to go to export. I use the shortcut. I never come up here, and I don't have my glasses on, so I can't even read anything. Save for web, and then instead of JPEG high, this was, remember, this is going to default to the last thing you used if this is a new document. So I used a ping 24. JPEG high, see how that turned white out here? If you use a ping 24, not a ping 8, because that's like a GIF. Ping 24 is 16.7 million colors, just like a JPEG. And with transparency checked right here, that means, see this checkerboard? That means that it's going to export a ping with transparency. So you'd save this out. I'm going to hit escape to get out of this because my example has no transparency, so I will save this as a JPEG high. So here, and I'll make a better version of this off screen to show you something cooler. Here, I save for the web. Shift Option Command S is how I do this. And again, I've struggled to find anything in the menus because I don't use it. And we're going to save this out at 512, JPEG high. It's all perfect. And I blew it. I didn't save the Illustrator file first. I'm going to hit cancel. Mistakes happen. Then I'm going to hit escape to get out of this, or you can hit cancel. Save your file. Hit Command S. And I'm going to save to the cloud and call this, Avatar 01. And I'm not going to use this thing. And I'm not saving it on my computer. I'm saving it to the cloud. Now, I'm going to use the shortcut this time. Shift Option Command S gets me to this Save for Web dialog box. And yours is going to appear twice this size. I'm working on a 5K monitor, so that's why my images sometimes will look smaller. We're saving this out at this size. This is the version for, I'm going to save this out, and this is for the web. And this is for our avatar. We're going to save out a different version for our journal. So I'm saving it into my documents folder, into a folder that I've already set up. And now I'm going to save out a version for the journal. Jeez. And this time I'm going to change the size. Don't do this in Photoshop. In Illustrator, this is just fine. Remember the next size up from 512? it's 1024. And because I have these locked right here, the other one changed automatically. If you didn't have that locked, you'd have to type it in again, and you notice it's 200%. So Illustrator, this is fine. Upsampling in the Save for Web dialog box. Photoshop, this is not fine. I will show you other ways to get around this. And it begins with planning ahead and starting with a larger document and downsizing. Does that make sense? We're going to click Save, and this time we have to add something to this name. And so we're going to call this Avatar for the journal. And save that. Now, I'll come back with another video and show you how to do what you're going to do, but you should already know.